Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Food as Medicine. My name is Adi Ekwawa, and today we'll be talking about heart health and nutrition. So, what is cardiovascular disease? So, CVD, cardiovascular disease, is any disease that affects the heart and blood vessels. So, there are a lot of different conditions I'm sure we can think of that fall into that category. So, it could be a heart attack, it could be a stroke, it could be coronary artery disease. So, again, anything that affects the heart and blood vessel is categorized as a cardiovascular disease. And about 50% of adults in the US have at least one form of heart disease. So, you can see that is a pretty prominent health condition. These are a couple of statistics in regards to cardiovascular disease. In 2019, around 17.9 million people died from CVD worldwide. That's about 32% of all deaths. And in 2020, about 697,000 people in the US died from cardiovascular disease. That's about 1 in 5 deaths. So again, it just shows how prominent cardiovascular disease is in our culture. So now we're going to talk about what role nutrition plays when it comes to cardiovascular disease. 80% of CVD is preventable. So we're going to talk more about different factors that can help, and nutrition is one way to help prevent cardiovascular disease. In addition to nutrition, your tobacco use is one way that can affect it as well. Unhealthy diet and obesity, so that's where nutrition comes in, making sure we're eating nutritious food that can really provide us with the nutrients that we need to sustain our bodies is important. Physical inactivity, so lack of movement, can play a large role, and also overconsumption of alcohol. Maintaining a healthy weight, healthy cholesterol level, normal BP, also normal blood glucose sugar can also help to prevent you from having a cardiovascular disease. So now we're going to get to the nutrition side of CVD. So I'm sure you all know focusing on our fruits and vegetables is one great way to make sure that we are getting the nutrients that we need that can prevent us from getting CVD. Food that has whole grains, so brown rice, quinoa, oats. Whole grains have parts of the grain that have nutrition in it, the nutrients in it. So it has the fibers, the minerals, and the vitamins that we need. When food is refined, whole grain is refined, it lacks those nutrients. And so when something is whole grain, it still has those nutrients that we need. So aiming for whole grains is always prioritized. Lean and plant-based sources of protein. So lean meats, poultry that are low in fat, heart-healthy fats. So olive oil, canola oil, those are great examples, as well as different fish and nuts and seeds are great sources of healthy fats. Minimalizing processed food and addition of sugar, limiting sodium, as well as not consuming too much alcohol. So there are 3 types of carbohydrates. We have starches, sugar, and fiber. Some carbs are naturally occurring, so those are example sugars that are found in milk, like lactose, or if they're found in fruit, like fructose, or found in rice or corn. Those are examples of naturally occurring ones. Refined ones, some examples are like table sugar, some sweets, sweetened beverages, those are high in refined sugar, and those can also increase our triglyceride levels. Triglycerides are essentially types of fat, and increasing that can also affect our cardiovascular, which can affect the cardiovascular and lead us to have a CVD if we consume too much. But fiber is a great way to offset unhealthy food. Fiber can help to, it's in the stomach, and it can help to keep our bodies healthy. We should aim for about 25 to 30 grams of total fiber each day. Plants are a great source of fiber. So oranges, legumes like peas and beans are great examples. Oats, sweet potatoes, and those can help to reduce the amount of unhealthy cholesterol that we have in our bodies. We also need to make sure that when we are consuming a lot of fiber, we need to make sure that we're also consuming a lot of water as well. And that is just to prevent constipation. So we're now going to be talking about fats, which is a large component of cardiovascular disease. There are three types: saturated, trans, and unsaturated fats. So saturated fats is a large contributor of increasing our LDL, so our low density lipoproteins. And those are foods that are high, and those components are found in foods that are high in saturated fats. So fatty meats, poultry skin, so like the skin of chicken, lots of different meats are large, big source of fat, whole milk, cream, and butter. Trans fat can also contribute to our LDL levels. You can find those in shortening, fried food, processed food, anything that really has hydrogenated oils in them. Those can be large contributors of LDL. Cholesterol, though it sounds negative, is not all bad. There is a component of our body that needs cholesterol, especially at the cellular level, as lipoprotein, so it helps to move, transfer fat in our body. So not all cholesterol is bad, but too much isn't good. Too much cholesterol can create plaques, so like a buildup in our blood vessels, and that work causes our hearts to work faster and harder because it needs to get blood through those blood vessels, but with the plaque in the way, it has to work harder to get the blood through it. And so too much cholesterol can cause our heart to work more than it needs to, and can also damage our arteries, our blood vessels, including arteries. And that can lead to diseases like heart attack and stroke. So it's important to limit it to about 200 milligrams a day if you are associated at risk for heart disease. And foods that are high in fats, just to keep in mind, egg yolk, fatty meats like beef and pork, whole milk, cheese, shrimp, lobster, crabs. Those are examples of foods that are high in cholesterol. Unsaturated fats are the healthy fats. So those are the ones that have the HDL, which is a high density low protein, lipoprotein. So one way I remember it is H is high, so we want more of it, and L is low, we want less of it. So HDL is a good one that we want more of, and that can help to lower our blood cholesterol when we consume food that is really high in fats. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, big words, but if you see the word unsaturated, you know it's a healthy fat. So foods that have omega-3 fatty acids, so avocados, salmon, different nuts and seeds, peanut butter, almond butter, olive oil. Those are all great examples of foods that have the high HDL that we want more of. Plant sterols and stanols are similar in structure to cholesterol, but they are found in plants and they actually are good for you as compared to too much bad cholesterol. They're found in plants, so fruits and vegetables, whole grains. Again, I mentioned it has a nutritious parts of it like fiber. And so those are the ones we want to consume more of because they do help to lower the LDL in our bodies. About 2 grams of plant sterols each day can help you reduce your LDL by about 5 to 10%. So 2 grams is about 200 milligrams. If you're looking at nutrition labels, for example, just to know. And HDLs can help to prevent your arteries from having those fatty deposits that clog your arteries, which again can lead to plaque buildup. So sodium plays a large role when it comes to cardiovascular disease. We do need sodium like all things. We do need a little bit of different things, but again, like all things, it's all about moderation and we don't need too much of it. Too much sodium can cause our bodies to hold extra water, which increases our blood pressure, and that can damage our organs because it's causing it to overwork. And so cutting back on sodium is really important. We shouldn't be consuming more than 2,300 milligrams, so 2,300 milligrams, which is about a teaspoon, which sounds like not much. So you can probably tell that just in general, we just consume a lot of sodium, more than you even really realize. So a couple of tips to help you cut back on your sodium consumption. Cooking at home. When you are cooking at home, you can control the amount of salt, even fats or different components that you are adding to your food as compared to when you eat out and you eat it as is. So cooking at home can help you reduce the amount of salt that you put in your food. Not having the salt right in front of you at the dinner table can also help reduce your temptation to want to salt your food. Buying foods that are low or no sodium products are really important. If you do buy food, for example, canned goods that have sodium, making sure that you are rinsing them once you take them out of the cans to remove any excess salt in the food products. Eating more fresh fruit. So foods like meat, processed food especially, are high in sodium. So eating fresh fruit can help you cut back on sodium. Salt is not the only way to season food. I'm trying to use different herbs and spices, sauteing garlic and onion. Those are great ways to add flavor to your food without relying heavily on salt. And again, as mentioned in previous program material, making sure you're checking the nutrition facts label to really know how much salt is in the food that you're consuming. Like all things, it's all about moderation. We're not saying that you shouldn't go to McDonald's or you shouldn't eat that cookie. It's just about making sure you're not going to McDonald's every day or you're not eating that cookie every day. Everything in moderation. So making sure we are eating our fruits and veggies, we are eating our whole grains, healthy sources of proteins, eating more of those and less of the processed, fatty, salty food can help us to have a healthy diet. Now we'll share some cooking and shopping tips when it comes to being heart healthy. So when you are shopping, again, we mentioned before, looking for foods that are low in sodium, fat, and added sugar. Again, nutrition label will be your best friend. So making sure reading the nutrition label facts to know how much of those nutrients are in the food. Choosing bread, cereals, and grains that have whole grain, for example, whole wheat bread, quinoa, brown rice. Those are examples of whole grains, and they are high in fiber as well as vitamins and minerals and other nutrients that we want more of. So choosing more whole grain is always important. Choose fruits and vegetables in place of juice. The actual fruits and vegetables are better and higher sources of fiber as compared to juice. Milk and dairy products should be low or no fat, no skin on poultry, lean cuts of beef and pork, especially those meats are larger, usually higher in fat. And also having meatless options every once in a while is a good way to cut back on fat from animal products, especially. So again, just to reiterate, making sure you're reading the food labels, that gives you the most accurate information about the nutrients that are in the food product, and remembering that balance is key. Eating, treating yourself once in a while and eating like a cookie here and there is not bad, but again, we don't want it to be the main thing that we consume constantly. Other tips when it comes to cooking, substituting sugar for applesauce, bananas, or other fruit purees can help. Again, we mentioned before, removing the skin from poultry, baking, air fryer is a popular method of cooking rather than actually frying the food. Again, finding other ways to cook that doesn't incorporate so much fat or oil. Draining fat from cooked meats, using little salt, and using heart-healthy vegetable oils or liquid oils in general. My personal rule of thumb is if the oil is liquid at room temperature, it is better for you as compared to oils that is solid at room temperature. So for example, coconut oil, I think a lot of people think is good for you because it's coconut, but coconut oil is actually very, very high in fat as compared to canola oil or olive oil, which are liquid at low temperature. So we mentioned this in other programs about nutrition labels, but we'll still briefly go over the components of nutrition labels. So again, the serving size just tells you how much of that food is in the product. Usually is how much people eat in one sitting. But again, that is not the recommended amount of food to consume. Calories just gives you essentially the amount of energy you will get from the foods that you consume. Fats, again, we talked about the saturated, unsaturated, and trans fats. Trans fats should no longer be on food labels. Saturated fat is an unhealthy fat we don't want. Saturated fat is the ones that we don't want. And unsaturated fats are the healthy fats that we want. So monounsaturated, polyunsaturated fats, those are voluntary pieces of information. So they might not be on food labels, but if you see them, just know that those are the healthy fats. We also want to reduce our sodium consumption. Added sugar, that's a new component that they added to food labels that is under the total carbohydrate section. And a lot of added sugar comes from sweetened beverages. So keep that in mind if you want to reduce the amount of added sugar you're consuming in general. Dietary fiber, we mentioned fiber is good for us. It helps to lower our LDL, which is the one we want to keep low, the bad fat, and it's found in fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Percent daily value, that just tells us the percent of each nutrient in a single serving in our daily recommended amount. Here are a couple of healthy recommendations that we have that can also add to your heart's health in addition to eating a well-balanced diet. So physical activity, whether it is walking, whether it is going to the gym, any form of movement is good and helps to keep our body strong and healthy. The recommendation is 150 minutes a week, which is about 30 minutes a day, incorporating at least 2 days of strength training. So it could be yoga, it could be lifting weights, it could be Pilates, doing push-ups. Again, just finding ways to strengthen our body, keeping our body moving, and keeping our heart healthy is the most important. Smoking has also actually been seen to raise triglyceride levels. So again, triglycerides contribute to unhealthy fat in blood. It actually has also been seen to lower the HDL, which is the one we want the more of high, healthier one. It can make blood sticky and more likely to clot. It can damage our cells and our blood vessel lining and also lead to an increase in plaque buildup, which again narrows the blood vessels and makes it harder for blood to flow and makes our heart work even harder. So smoking in general has a lot of bad effects when it comes to our cardiovascular condition. So we want to not do it at all, or if you can, quit. And even if you're not smoking, if you are around the smoke, secondhand smoking can also increase the risk of heart disease by about 25 to 30%, which is a lot. So again, even being around smoke can give you those negative implications on your heart health. Alcohol, like everything, is just in moderation. Making sure women that we consume no more than a serving a day and men no more than 2 servings a day. It's been shown that adults who sleep less than 7 hours each night are actually more likely to have health problems like high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, even obesity. And those conditions are risk factors when it comes to cardiovascular health. So it can be difficult, but making sure that we're making sleep a priority and trying to get at least 7 hours of sleep is really important. Stress, whether it is good stress or bad stress, can have implications when it comes to our health. When we are stressed, usually we tend to lean towards unhealthy habits of coping. So it could be smoking, it could be overeating, it could be lack of physical activity. And so just making sure that when you are stressed, as we all are, you have a healthy avenue to combat and cope with that stress. And having that healthy avenue can help to keep your mental health well, and that is associated with a lower risk of cardiovascular disease. So making sure you incorporate exercise. There could be time with friends and family, We talked about getting enough sleep, being positive, finding ways to relax, a stimulating hobby. Those are great ways to reduce stress and have a healthy coping mechanism. Thank you again for joining me for another week of Food Ed Medicine. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or call our office number. Thank you.